Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. Doing business and life with a purpose, serving others and achieving success. What a combo that is. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to learn how to do business and live life to make an impact in the world. I want you to think about, as you're listening to my incredible guest today, how will you serve today and what impact will you create today? And speaking of impact, that's why I say that in my monologue at the beginning, is that's what I'm looking for. My guest today is transforming people with impact. How would you like to be somebody today and a month from now be completely different and have abundance? This is what my guest is going to talk about and much more. Linda, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Steve.
Transformational speaker. You can go many ways, but what's your definition of that?
Well, I'll start with motivational and inspirational speakers. Everyone's familiar with those. A motivational speaker, by the time you leave, you're like, I got to get into action. An inspirational speaker inspires you, but that doesn't mean you actually get into action. Well, a transformational speaker is someone like me who the person that you are when you got there and the person that you are when you leave, there's a difference there because there's actually been a transformation that's happened inside. And so when we feel different, then it's much easier to move forward and be inspired and be motivated.
What's the ROI on transforming? I know it's a big question. ROI is a big business, elephant in the room. What do you think?
Well, I personally, and my clients would attest to this, I would say it's like the American Express commercials, priceless. It is priceless. If I look at all of the dollars I have put into my own education and transformation as a coach and as a master coach, because I'm a high achiever, so I went back and got both certifications. Those dollar amounts, they're in the, plus what I've invested in other people for my business to grow it, et cetera. If I look at, I spent $50,000, $70,000, it's still my own personal transformation is worth light years more than that.
Yeah. The phrase, you need to spend money to make money in business, I believe 1,000,000%. You just described that, right?
Well, I pretty much did. It's real. I don't like the word spend, because spend means you're not getting something back. My clients that work with me, they invest in themselves. They're not even investing in me. They're investing in themselves. And who better to invest in? Why would you trust somebody else? Like, invest in yourself, it takes a village, get the support that you're going to learn and grow and transform through.
Thank you for correcting me. And see, even the host can be wrong, and that's good. That's why I love doing these, because it is a better word and means more impact. Let's jump into impact.
And
Leadership.
investors keep on giving back, right? That's a difference. A cost or a spend it's gone, but an investment gives back and back and back.
Right,
We receive from our investments.
I like that investment. Leadership. Is that a big part of transformation?
It is a big part of transformation. It's because it starts within. And you cannot lead others unless you're in the right place to do it, which is a place of, I'm going to call it quiet confidence. The people with the big noisy confidence are usually the most insecure people in the room. The people with the quiet confidence, we know who they are. Those are the ones that say, I do know what I'm doing. And they're the ones that a leader isn't saying, everybody come over here. A leader, people are just trailing behind. They're just following the leader. So when you are a leader in your own life, then you begin to lead others.
This is Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. So let's throw servant in front of leadership. What's that look like? Characteristics, description?
Oh, I love when I had discovered servant leader as a title for, that people might use, or a combination of words together. It resonated so deeply with me. I hadn't realized there was a term for the thing that I was doing. There's so many people in the world that we have this servant's heart. And what happens is we're so excited, enthused, and feel on our purpose, living within our purpose, on purpose, when we are in service. I am 1,000% that person. And so we're heart-centered. I'm a heart-centered coach. I'm a heart-centered leader. I'm a heart-centered speaker. I'm there first and foremost in service of my audience, as I'm speaking, and the servants of my clients when I'm coaching, the businesses when I'm partnering. And so that term is so beautiful to me. And so I totally fit the bill. And when I saw that's the name of your podcast, I'm like, oh, what are the coincidences? There are no coincidences.
No, and when we first met, it enlightening. It blew up when we talked about servant leader, how important it is. One thing about servant leader, when you're speaking, how do you become a servant leader when you're speaking to your audience about transformation?
The number one rule is all my talks are not about me. There's no
Mm,
ego up on the stage with me. All my talks are there to make a difference for someone in that room. I don't know who it's going to be. And there might be some people in the room, I've had this, crossing their arms, like going looking like this, like that. I don't want to know that, you don't know it, right? And
yeah.
that's okay. I don't
Hmm.
care. That's not who I'm there for. I don't know who I'm supposed to be there for, but there's someone in that audience that maybe they've heard some different version of what I'm saying a 100 times before, but they needed to be there that day in that moment to hear that message from me in the way that I describe it or bring it to them in order for them to go, oh,
Mind blown.
yes, right? That's who I show up for. That's a transformational speaker. That's how I'm a servant leader.
I love that you said that you connect with maybe one person. See if 100 people or 1,000. If you connect with one person, you've done your job. The other 999 people, nothing wrong with that. But this one person you helped. Repetition is important in anything you do. You want to be a better golfer. You want to be a better husband, wife, practicing in repetition. How can somebody practice, and what's a tip to transform themselves?
Oh, that's a good question. I probably have like 200 tips. Let me see if I can pick.
Probably.
Right? Okay. If you are interested in personal transformation, the very first, I'm going to say there's two things you have to have. One is a very deliberate intention to transform, to say, yep, this is what's happening. But that's really hard to have if you don't believe it's at least possible. So belief is the very, very beginning. And so I don't want to stay where I am anymore. Is it even possible to transform? So there's like a belief continuum. And at one end, it's not bloody likely, when pigs fly, impossible, all down there, right? And that's like this dark corridor. There's no windows in it. There's no lights in it. There's just a bunch of walls and it's really dark. And as you move down this corridor, this belief continuum, you get to this place. It's actually a pretty magical place, and it's called possible. And why it's so magical is because there's a question your brain could never ask you until you believe it's possible. Can you guess, Steve, what that question is?
Can I do it?
Can you guess what the question is that your brain can't get to until you believe something is possible?
Faith or hope?
It's a question.
Oh, do I believe?
Well,
No.
we're talking about belief. It's actually how. Once you
Oh,
believe something is possible, that's the moment your brain can go, how? It won't even ask that question if it doesn't believe, if it's like impossible, not bloody likely, when pigs fly, right? So as soon as you get to it's possible, then it's much quicker to move down that belief continuum, move down this hallway. Because now you're like, well, how did he do it? How did she do it? How might I do it? And now you can move down, and now you're moving to likely, probable, inevitable. And as you move down, you get windows and they get bigger and bigger. And now you get some doors. And at the very end, the corridor is wide open. There's not a wall. There's nothing. There's the world. And because at the very end, it's not even inevitable. It's this. It's already done.
wow. That's powerful. Thank you for saying that. How? Because you're right. Once I know anybody can do something, know how to do it, they're going to do it. Podcasting, speaking, on and on and on. And yeah, so possible becomes how. Okay. That's $1 million tip there, audience. Make
I
sure you
know.
write that down. Love this question. I'm curious about the answer. Whose brilliance would you love to borrow and why?
Yeah. So yeah, I love the concept of borrowing brilliance because it takes like, I don't have to know it all. I just want to borrow the brilliance of someone else. And that's really what we're doing. And someone like me, who I'm a multifaceted, a conscious expander, I'm always bringing things in. I'm actually borrowing lots of brilliance every day. And it's actually a concept in a book by David Cordmurray, Borrowing Brilliance. It's actually, we've been doing it forever. And so I would start with, like, go way back, go back to these, philosophers, these amazing people. So Marcus Aurelius, I've definitely borrowed his brilliance. There's so many things. You listen to any coach, basically he said it first. He always said, you can go back, read his stuff. I've borrowed the brilliance from Dr. Martha Beck. She is my mentor. I studied under her for my coach certification and master coach certification. She's, Oprah's life coach, Maria Shriver's life coach, right? I worked with her in the same room one-on-one for a while.
Nice.
Brilliant human. Byron Katie, brilliant human. Brené Brown, her work is so essential and important to the world. So we've all borrowed brilliance from the other masters, right? And this is what I call the ripple effect. This is what causes this ripple effect that we have.
Yeah. My dad used to tell me when I was young, don't recreate the wheel. It's more archaic than what you're saying. You're going deeper, but it's the same thing. Is somebody's doing something, to do it. Don't recreate it. It's done already for Brené Brown, all these people that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So
and if there's,
go ahead.
I was going to say, so here's someone's brilliance I would love to borrow. I use it a little in homework for my clients, but I would say Jerry Seinfeld. So he is the master at perception shifting. And that's how this is how you transform. You have a big part of it. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful things we do is, increase our perception of our worthiness, right? There's a lot of stuff that happens, but shifting perception, how you see other people, how you see yourself, this is huge for personal transformation. And Jerry Seinfeld, he is the king of the comedians who can take any mundane or odd experience and turn it into something each one of us can connect with, but make us smile, right? So I often give my clients homework to shift their perception by seeing their family like an episode of Seinfeld. How would Seinfeld write, that dinner when, that shit hit the fan, right? How would he write it? Like, you got to see it for the humor. You got to perceive it differently. So his brilliance, I would just love to borrow in every day. And I think I do a little here and there, but to do it even more would be like amazing.
Magical. I love your imagery that you use because it's really easy to accept and understand that imagery, Seinfeld at dinner, S hits the fan and all that. Well, let's go on the other side. Okay. Whose brilliance have you borrowed in order to do what you do, which is now doing the how, right?
Right. Those are the folks that I was mentioning before, the Marcus Aurelius, the Martha Becks, the Byron Katies, the Brené Browns. Some amazing people have taken those original things brought to us by someone like Marcus Aurelius and run with it, done research, right? Like Brené Brown, done research and found evidence of why this is true. So now it's not just a philosophy, it's scientifically proven, right? One of my favorite books I ever read when I was beginning my journey was, I think it was, Baker, Dr. That'll come to me in a minute. Somebody Baker, and it's called What Happy People Know. It's like, should, scientifically, when it's studied, you look at these happy people, how do they perceive? What are they seeing? How are they seeing the world? Right. And then he has in that book, the happiness traps, right? The things that keep us trapped from actually being happy. When it's put in a scientific way and it's in a nice framework, it's so easy to digest. So that was a lot of the early work that I was digesting when I became a new coach and going through my own personal transformation.
Well, I read the Daily Stoic, and Ryan is his first name, Holiday, I think it is. And he takes his Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, all their writings are in this book. And it's a daily book that you can get, and it's changed my life. My best friend, Mike, shout out, got me, and we text back and forth when we read it. So when somebody you're speaking to a group, what is your goal or desire for that audience? I know you said I want to affect one person, but dig deeper what your goal is. Like this, you got a speaking gig coming up. What would be your goal?
I would say if I were going to boil it down, my ultimate goal is to speak in such a way, give some piece of gold nugget in such a way that has moved someone at such a deep level that their life will never be the same. And that I design into my talks. And that is the transformation that happens when I'm coaching my clients. It's that movement, like you can't go back. Like now I can't unknow this amazing thing. I can't unknow my worth once I know my worth. I can't unknow how to perceive the world differently because now I've seen it differently. Now everything is easier and I can be me. That's like to move through the world authentically without this, like stress is inevitable, but being stressed out is completely optional. And if you
Yeah.
learn how to move and navigate through the world with that quiet confidence, knowing you're enough, not because you read it on the internet says, girl, you are enough, right? But no, but really knowing that you are enough.
Yeah.
Like these things, these are the things I portray and I build in purposefully. These are the inner transformations. They're so deep that they're going to affect someone's life, the trajectory for good.
Great distinction. I want to make a point of that. Internet, social media is not the place to transform. It's all surface. And I'm glad you said that. It's got to be deep within. And that's the power of it, but that's the struggle, the challenge with that, right?
It is a challenge, yeah. If if you got to be putting all that over the internet, the people who are doing that are the ones who, it's what we do. We practice when we want to believe it, right? It's an affirmation. Like I put this quote on it, so it speaks to me. It's because I want to believe it. The problem with affirmations is your brain, if you don't believe it, then your brain's going to argue with it. So you can say it all you want in the mirror, but there's that part of you going, no, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. So we've
Great
got to
point.
make these shifts at a deeper level so that when you read that, you go, oh, I already know that's true. And you don't need to post it all over your wall. Like you already
Interesting.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's embedded in you. When something happens, just to react because it's part of you. I just mentioned challenges, personal or professional. We all have
Mhm.
them. So, what's the hardest thing you've ever done?
The hardest thing personally was when my kids were 3, 5, and 7. On a beautiful May morning, I woke up and my husband did not. He died in his sleep.
Mm.
And the very hardest thing in my life was telling my children that their father was gone. I I I didn't have a thought for myself. I'm like, I'm strong. I'll get through this. But when you have children that age, that was my biggest fear. And then, and also I had adopted my children from Russia. All 3 of them are from Russia. And so they had already experienced abandonment at a subconscious level,
Mhm.
and they all knew that we had adopted them, but now they had such a great loss again in their short little lives, you know. So um, my fear for them was moving through that with them, creating the new normal for our family, and raising them as a single mom. Now they're 21, 23, and 25, and they're all doing so beautifully. So I think that was the hardest thing that I ever had to do.
That's
Maybe the
yeah,
bravest.
yeah. When family are death and family, whether older, younger, yeah, that's the hardest. And talk about challenge.
Mm.
So this might be a tough question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. What did you learn from that experience when you lost your husband?
Well, it's maybe more what I did with it. I remember
Okay.
I was in this grief group about 2 months after he passed away, and the people are introducing themselves, and they're like, "Oh, hi, my name's Jim, and I lost my wife 12 years ago. Hi, my name is Mary, and I lost my husband 9 years ago, etc." And I'm there, and I'm like, "Hi, my name is Linda, and I lost my husband 2 months ago." And immediately I was thinking, I'm not going to be in this grief group 9 and 12 years from now. I have a life to live. Like, no, thank you. That's not going to be me. And I said at the time to the people, I said, what I think for myself is I have one less role to fill. I'm no longer a wife. And I intend to use this capacity to discover who I am. Because when we get really busy, when we get married and then we start having kids, so many people lose sight of their true selves. We're showing up for others every day. What do they need? What do they want? Especially women, we're like over nurturers in that way,
Yeah.
right? So for me to have this capacity and go, what if I learn about me? And you know what? I discovered a person I didn't even know was there. It
Wow.
was so amazing because I had never asked myself. I was just too busy being a chameleon. So that was the most significant thing, was the discovery of me.
I appreciate you saying that. I know it's a tough subject, but I appreciate you being transparent because people listening out there that are going through tragedies like this,
Mm.
that's such a great lesson. It doesn't happen overnight. You know that. Everybody knows that, whether you've been through it or not. So when you're speaking to a group, and they ask you, can you transform me in an hour? What do you say?
Yes.
Nice. And how do you
Yes.
do that?
Give me an hour.
Yeah.
Well, the how is really dependent, which tool I'm going to use or whatever, depending on what we're talking about. But here's how I had to learn how to do that. So when I was in Master Coach, the very end, the culmination of it, I was with Martha Beck for 5 days, or, with about 11 other people, because she only trains a very tiny, small group of master coaches per year.
Yeah.
And we're in this small room, and she's got her iPhone out, and she goes, okay, everybody, you can make smoke or you can make fire, but I tell you what, a master coach makes fire. You got 5 minutes. You coach her, go. In 5 minutes, I've got to use my access tools. I've got to discover where this person is, what's going on, what's the real deep part, and say something or do something in a certain way that's going to make an aha moment and make fire, not smoke, before that timer hits 5 minutes. So if I could do that over and over in 5 minutes, yes. And I have totally done it over and over in an hour. So absolutely.
Wow, that's incredible. Wow, I'm blown away. I'm early speechless. You made me speechless. That's good. I love your passion. Where do you think that comes from?
I think my passion comes from knowing who I am, loving who that is, knowing that what I'm doing really matters and is in service of not just individuals, but the bigger picture of healing. When we heal individuals, we heal communities, right?
Yeah.
And we heal the world. So I'm part of something really big. So that's where it comes from.
Yeah, you're changing the world one person at a time, and as they share and pay it forward, it's a powerful thing. Well, we're running out of time. People are going to want to ask you questions. So how can they get a hold of you?
Oh, it's so easy. Right on my website, which is lindabucher.com. There's pink buttons all over. It says chat with Linda. Like, let's chat. I'm not like a texter back and forth. Like, let's chat. And I'll chat about anything. I'll solve a problem. I'll give you a sample session. Let's chat. And that's so easy to just get a chat with me.
That's a servant's heart right there. You just described it in a role. That's unbelievable. I want to thank you for being on the show. This has been incredible.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you having me here, Steve.
Thank you. And I tell everybody, and I'm going to say it again, when you're watching this, watch it again or listen to it again, however you're consuming this, because I've got a whole notebook of notes, and you're not going to pick it all up as we're going. And that's the beauty of a podcast. You can go back and forward and stop at when she talks about a gold nugget and different things. She talked about borrow brilliance. That's $1 million idea right there. So do that for me. Do that for Linda. Reach out on YouTube or our podcast. Comment on this. You can reach out to her there. I'll have all her contact information in the show notes as well. Don't forget my TV show every Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Together We Serve. It's on Roku, Apple TV, and all those. You can search Together We Serve. Don't forget about our podcast swag. We have hats, hoodies, all different kinds of things you can get to promote doing business with a servant's heart. And I'll see all of you at the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. Thank you all.